Well, we are gearing up for marathon weekend in New England. Newport Road races on Saturday morning, and of course, the Boston Marathon. It is on Monday, and that's what we'll be talking about. Getting closer to the race, the forecast is coming into slightly better focus, although there are still some tricky aspects to it. And that's what we'll talk about here, particularly in terms of the temperature. It's a case where it could be cool 40s and low 50s. It could be all the way up into the mid and maybe even upper 60s. And it's probably not going to be between about 55 and 60 degrees. And I'll explain that coming up. First, though, let's take a look at the general outlook here that we are looking at for Monday. And I think the best chance of any steady rain is actually before 11 o'clock in the morning. Should be a lull after that. Hopefully that lull comes, say, 10 o'clock in the morning and lasts until about 3 in the afternoon. A few more showers are possible later on in the day. Now, the temperature and the wind closely tied together. If it is on the cool side, the wind is likely to be light and out of the east to southeast. Yes, a headwind, but it should be really light. Nothing like we saw last year when it was 15 to 30, 35 miles per hour out of the east and northeast. Now, if we make it into that rather warm air, which would be upper 50s to mid and upper 60s, then that will come with a gusty south to southwesterly wind. It just makes sense. Something has to bring that warmer air in, and it rides in on a south to southwesterly wind. So we are looking at those two scenarios still in play. Now, take the computer models at face value, and they're for the most part going with the warmer scenario. But having lived in this area for my entire life and forecasted in this area for about 20 years, I'm a little skeptical that it'll get quite that warm, particularly as you get closer to Boston. So there could be some temperature changes throughout the race as you make your way along the 26.2 miles. So let's get a look at some computer model information here. And this is one of the American models. It's called the GFS. And it's the global forecast system, although some people call it good for, you can fill in the blank there, because of its reputation as not being incredibly accurate. But anyway, this is what it's projecting for 11 o'clock in the morning. You see 62 Hopkinton, and generally in that same range all the way along the course and getting into Boston. In fact, at that point in Boston has the temperature at 64 degrees. But as you go to 2 in the afternoon, it's even warmer than that. And notice all those wind arrows on there too, out of the south and southwest. So that's that cross to tail wind that would come with the warmer air. Now, this is the NAM model, which is also an American model, and there is a high-resolution version of this that will be getting a hold of this system in the next 18 to 24 hours. It only runs out 60 hours, that high-resolution version, so I'm looking forward to when that does start to see Monday morning into Monday afternoon to hopefully get a better idea about how this temperature trend is going to play out for the marathon. But this particular model here showing 59 Hopkinton, 11 in the morning, but only around 49 or 50 in Boston because of that light easterly wind. And things don't change too much as you hit the afternoon from Wellesley into Boston, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The temperature still expected to be in the lower 50s. So it's really those two scenarios that we're looking at, and not too much in the middle. And I'll show you that right here. If you look at this graph, the heavy black line indicates the average of all of those other lines. Notice how at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, there is a cluster of lines that are between about 60 and 65 degrees for the temperature. The temperature scale is on your left, and you can see that cluster. Notice that cluster, though, that's near the bottom of the graphic, and that is generally between 40 and 45 degrees. Cool, yes, indeed. And that is another group of computer models. Notice how there's also not many that are right there in the middle. So it is a situation where you're either on one side of the front or you're on the other. The warm air makes it in or it does not. Which direction am I leaning in? I'm actually leaning more in the direction of it staying relatively cool. Given the time of year with the very cold ocean still surrounding southern New England, I think that there is a reasonable chance that it will stay in that let's say low 50-degree range, upper 40 to low 50-degree range, instead of the mid and upper 60s. But I think we'll have a better idea of that as we go through the weekend. So that's the good news, is that we're sitting here on a Friday afternoon talking about this, and we are not talking about it in these terms, hopefully, on Monday morning. So stay tuned to the forecast on runweather.com over the weekend, and I'll continue to give you updates. Again, hope to get this thing figured out by maybe, I don't know, tomorrow afternoon would be nice. Sunday afternoon, especially, hoping to have everything figured out so we can have a good plan come Monday morning. Hope you enjoy your time at the expo and get some relaxing in as you finish up your taper in preparation for the marathon. Have a great evening.